Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and welcome to another opinion here on Techie TV, where today we're going to be looking at Boris Johnson's amazing thing that he's done. Speech, that's what I'm looking for. And we are going to do it, finally, as live, but as a pre-record as well, because the actual speech was pre-recorded. He didn't do it live. So let's see what he's going to say. It's been an absolute disaster, and I swear to God I'm going to throw something through the window in a minute. Hope the cat doesn't come in here soon. That's a joke, by the way. So here's hoping that whatever he says is worth listening to, although it's Boris Johnson, so no, it should be fine. It should be fine. Just getting it ready. And we'll be streaming this live-ish. Shut up a minute while I just... Right, we're good to go. When I click on pause, it means pause. Thank you. Amongst other things, it changed the stream key, which is an absolute nightmare and a joke. Anyway, we're now going to watch this live pre-record speech by Boris Johnson and give some comments on it as well. So we've been in lockdown now for 48 days, nearly 50 days. Are we going to get out and about so we'll be able to go back to work? We'll be able to go to the pub. We'll find out in a few minutes' time. So, here goes.
It is now almost 2 months since the people of this country began to put up with restrictions on their freedom, your freedom, of a kind that we have never seen before in peace or war. And you have shown the good sense to support those rules overwhelmingly. You've put up with all the hardships of that program of social distancing because you understand that as things stand, and as the experience of every other country has shown, it's the only way to defeat the coronavirus, the most vicious threat this country has faced in my lifetime. And though the death toll has been tragic and the suffering immense, and though we grieve for all those we have lost, it is a fact that by adopting those measures we prevented this country from being engulfed by what could have been a catastrophe in which the reasonable worst-case scenario was 500,000 fatalities.
Yeah, no countries
and it's
had
thanks to your effort and sacrifice in stopping the spread of this disease that the death rate is coming down and hospital admissions are coming down. And thanks to you, we've protected our NHS and saved many thousands of lives. And so I know, you know, that it would be madness now to throw away that achievement by allowing a second spike. We must stay alert. We must continue to control the virus and save lives. And yet we must also recognize that this campaign against the virus has come at colossal cost to our way of life. We can see it all around us in the shuttered shops and abandoned businesses and darkened pubs and restaurants. And there are millions of people who are both fearful of this terrible disease and at the same time also fearful of what this long period of enforced inactivity will do to their livelihoods and their mental and physical well-being, to their futures and the futures of their children. So I want to provide tonight for you the shape of a plan to address both fears, both to beat the virus and provide the first sketch of a roadmap for reopening society, a sense of the way ahead, and when and how and on what basis we will take the decisions to proceed.
Getting dates.
I'll be setting out more details in Parliament tomorrow and taking questions from the public in the evening. I've consulted across the political spectrum, across all 4 nations of the UK. And though different parts of the country are experiencing the pandemic at different rates, and though it's right to be flexible in our response, I believe that as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, there is a strong resolve to defeat this together. And today, a general consensus on what we could do. And I stress could, because although we have a plan, it is a conditional plan. And since our priority is to protect the public and save lives, we cannot move forward unless we satisfy the 5 tests. We must protect our NHS.
True.
We must see sustained falls in the death rate. We must see sustained and considerable falls in the rate of infection.
Obviously.
We must sort out our challenges in getting enough PPE to the people who need it.
Very
and
obviously.
yes, it's a global problem, but we must fix it. And last, we must make sure that any measures we take do not force the reproduction rate of the disease, the R, back up over 1, so that we have the kind of exponential growth we were facing a few weeks ago.
At least your name's
And
not Corbyn.
to chart
Jesus,
our progress,
we would be screwed.
and to avoid going back to square one, we're establishing a new COVID alert
Imagine he was in
system
charge.
run
Jesus.
by a new joint biosecurity
Just a
centre.
waffle. I'll just...
And that COVID alert level will be determined primarily by R and the number of coronavirus cases, and in turn, that COVID alert level will tell us how tough we have to be in our social distancing measures. The lower the level, the fewer the measures, the higher the level, the tougher and stricter we will have to be. There will be 5 alert levels.
I think the thing is a good idea.
Level 1 means the disease is no longer present in the UK, and level 5 is the most critical, the kind of situation we could have had if the NHS had been overwhelmed. Over the period of the lockdown, we've been in level 4, and it's thanks to your sacrifice we're now in a position to begin to move in steps to level 3. And as we go, everyone will have a role to play in keeping the R down by staying alert and following the rules. And to keep pushing the number of infections down, there are 2 more things we must do. We must reverse rapidly the awful epidemics in care homes and in the NHS. And though the numbers are coming down sharply,
like people going for rides in cars that they don't need to go in and then filming it and playing
and
shit
if we're to
music,
control this virus, then we must have a world-beating system for testing potential victims and for tracing their contacts. So that, all told, we're testing literally hundreds of thousands of people every day. We've made fast progress on testing, but there is so much more to do.
To be fair, they've gone from
now,
zero testing to the capability of doing 100,000.
When this began, we hadn't
when
seen
everyone
this
else is
disease
all
before.
around the world is doing it
We
at the
didn't
same
fully
time.
understand its effects.
I think they've
With
done
every
well
day,
with
we're
that.
getting more and more data. We're shining the light of science on this invisible killer, and we will pick it up where it strikes, because our new system will be able in time to detect local flare-ups in your area, as well as giving us
That's one
a
right in the
national
racetrack.
picture.
That's a bit annoying.
And yet, when I look at where we are tonight, we have the R below 1, between 0.5 and 0.9, but potentially only just below 1. And though we have made progress in satisfying at least some of the conditions I have given, we have by no means fulfilled all of them. And so, no, this is not the time simply to end the lockdown this week. Instead, we're taking the first careful steps to modify our measures.
You've got to
the
look
first
at
step is a
Germany,
change of emphasis that we
Spain,
hope
Italy,
that people
and
will act on
to a
this
lesser
week.
degree, but Korea,
We said
who've all relaxed,
that you should work from
and they've
home
all got,
if you
seen
can,
their rates go up
and only
dramatically.
go to work if you must. We now need to stress that anyone
So we need to get
who
this
can't work from home, for
in the
instance,
right place.
those in construction or manufacturing, should be actively encouraged to go to work, and we want it to be safe for you to get to work. So you should avoid public transport if at all possible.
I always do anyway.
Because we must and will maintain social distancing, and capacity will therefore be limited. So, work from home if you can, but you should go to work if you can't work from home. And to ensure you are safe at work, we've been working to establish new guidance for employers to make workplaces COVID secure. And when you
They
do
get a
go to
certificate.
work, if
It's a
possible,
waste of money, isn't it?
do so by car, or even better, by walking or bicycle.
Yeah, then you're knackered
But
when you get
just
to work.
as with workplaces,
Especially working in construction.
public transport operators will also be following COVID secure
Apparently,
standards.
that was,
And from this Wednesday,
someone said,
we want to encourage people to take more and even unlimited amounts of outdoor exercise. You can sit in the sun in your local park, you can drive to other destinations, you can even play sports, only with members of your own household. You must obey the rules on social distancing, and to enforce those
So what
rules,
about the people who don't?
we will increase the
No.
fines for the small minority who break them. And so, every day, with ever-increasing data, we will be monitoring the R
I had
and
a
the
different
number of
time
new
before, but you
infections
couldn't see it.
and the progress we are making. And if we as a nation begin to fulfill the conditions I have set out, then in the next few weeks and months, we may be able to go further. In step 2, at the earliest by June the 1st, after half term, we believe we may be in a position to begin the phased reopening of shops
Phased
and
reopening.
to get primary pupils back into school.
What does that mean?
In stages, beginning with
I
reception,
reckon this
year
letting
1
everyone out as long
and
as
year
they want,
6.
it's just going to screw everything
Our
up.
ambition
That's the worst thing you
is
could
that
have done.
secondary pupils facing exams next year will get at least some time with their teachers before the holidays, and will shortly be setting out detailed guidance on how to make it work in schools and shops and on transport. And step 3, at the earliest by July, and subject to all these conditions and further scientific advice, if and only if the numbers support it, we will hope to reopen at least some of the hospitality industry and other public places, provided they're safe and enforce social distancing. Throughout this period of the next 2 months, we will be driven
You
not
do know
by
it's going to
mere
screw up in
hope.
the next 2 weeks because
economic
you're letting people
necessity.
go out.
We're going to be driven by the science, the data, and public health. And I must stress again,
I predict now,
all of this
by
is
the
conditional.
end, by the middle of
It all
June,
depends
we'll
on a
be on
series of big
50,000
ifs.
plus deaths.
It depends on all of us, the entire country, to follow the advice, to observe social distancing, and to keep that R down. And to prevent reinfection from abroad, I'm serving notice that it will soon be the time, with transmission significantly lower, to impose quarantine on people coming into this country by air.
By air?
It's because of your efforts.
What about
to get
dinghy?
the R down and the number of
What
infections
about ferry?
down
What about
here,
train? They're still
that this
coming
measure
in.
will now be effective.
That makes no sense.
And of course, we'll be monitoring our progress locally, regionally, and nationally. And if there are outbreaks, if there are problems, we will not hesitate to put on the brakes. We've been through the initial peak, but it's coming down the mountain
But you've told people that
that
they
is
can go out
often
all day now.
more dangerous. We have a route and we have a plan. And everyone in government has the all-consuming pressure and challenge to save lives, restore livelihoods, and gradually restore the freedoms that we need. But in the end, this is a plan that everyone must make work. And when I look at what you've done already, the patience and common sense you've shown, the fortitude of the elderly, whose isolation we all want to end
I have
as
52s,
fast
to
as
be
we
fair.
can. The incredible bravery and hard work of our NHS staff, our care workers, the devotion and self-sacrifice of all those in every walk of life who are helping us to beat this disease. Police, bus drivers, train drivers, pharmacists, supermarket workers, road hauliers, bin collectors, cleaners, security guards, postal workers, our teachers, and 1,000 more. The scientists
good point,
who are working round the clock to find a vaccine. When I think of the millions of everyday acts of kindness and thoughtfulness that are being performed across this country,
I'm going to get a night up for my YouTube
to get us through this first phase, I know that we can use this plan to get us through the next. And if we can't do it by those dates, and if the alert level won't allow it, we will simply wait and go on until we've got it right. We will come back from this devilish illness. We will come back to health and robust health. And though the UK will be changed by this experience, I believe we can be stronger and better than ever before, more resilient, more innovative, more economically dynamic, but also more generous and more sharing. But for now, we must stay alert, control the virus, and save lives. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. So that was Boris doing some blustering waffle. Which I don't get.
See
anyway.
the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story.
It worked, but I thought I did it wrong. It was Taki TV though. Everything's wrong on Taki TV. Don't worry about it. So there you go then. We can go out as often as we want. I don't get that. It's as clever as his echo. I don't understand how going out for as long as you want is going to help the situation. I genuinely don't, because people are now going to think, oh, I can go to the park, I can go to grounds or whatever and sunbathe. Everyone will think the same thing. So there'll be hundreds of people there, all doing the same thing, and it's just going to cause havoc, isn't it? Or is it? Am I? Well, I figured that, you know, every time you see people on the telly doing stuff, they're in their library. So I thought I'd set the camera up in my library. So you know, up yours, anyone who thinks they're posh. So got a big house as well. I mean, look at it; it goes all the way down there. It's massive. That's why I've been cleaning so much. I only found it when I got to the bottom of the garden, to be fair, this bit. But anyway. So what are we thinking then? Are we thinking Boris has got it right? Or are we thinking, why isn't Boris looking at what's going on at countries who've already lifted the lockdown and it's created havoc? I don't get it. I'm going to say it's going to be an interesting 2 weeks, because is it Wednesday when we can go out and do what we want within reason and drive places? How far can we drive? Is he going to tell us how far we can go tomorrow? You can't go more than 3 miles, or you can't go more than 20 miles, or you can't go more than 100 miles. John will be happy. He'll be able to film some more of his Let's Visits. Explore. He hates it when I get that wrong. Anyway, there you go. Have you got Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley? Yes, it's, hang on. I think it's that one there. That one. I'm not getting it for you. I'm doing a live broadcast of very serious things. Well, the thing that worries me is that Nicola Sturgeon, she said stuff yesterday, and I've never said this before, I actually agreed with Nicola Sturgeon. I'm like, this is a matter of life and death. There are people dying all over the world and in England. I know, you know, someone said, well, there's 60 million of us and only 50,000 have died. I'm like, yeah, but that's 50,000 families and who have lost someone too soon. And any death is terrible. But I think we're not doing the right thing here. I think we're... I mean, if he said maybe go out for 2 hours, or, you know, set some kind of time limit on it, but not just say go out for as long as you want and you can sit on a bench and do stuff and play sports with your family. I was walking through a park. Was it a park? No, it wasn't. I saw it on the telly. And there was some, or I dreamt it, there was some lads playing football in one of them, courted areas that they have. That's why I know it wasn't me, because I've not walked past any of them forever. Where they have all the, the cages up and everything. And they're all in there playing football. I'm like, well, they're not from the same family, are they? So, no, we can't drive to Scotland or Wales. Which is ironic, because one of my friends lives in Wales and has a shop in England. So he'd be knackered, wouldn't he? And that's it as well. What happens if you're on the border? You're on the border of Scotland and Nicola Sturgeon said you've got to stay in your house. But Boris just says, oh, go out and enjoy yourself. How does that work? I don't get it. To be honest, if they shut the borders, I will not blame them. Yes, there's that many different routes in now, though, that they'd be very difficult to. And you just have to pretend to be Welsh if you go into the Wales leg, would you? Why, aye? Oh, that's not Welsh, is it? That's, oh, God. I've got old Geordie on me. Got Geordie on myself. That's not good. So, yeah, I've no idea what is going on with YouTube, by the way. That was meant to be live. And obviously it's not live, but to be fair, the broadcast wasn't live either, so it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference. My opinion is we'd have been a lot more screwed if Jeremy Corbyn would have been in. Someone said he'd probably invited the COVID virus round for tea or something, because that's what he does with things that kill things. So yeah, we're better off without him. But Keir Starmer, he seems like he's got his... I don't like the guy, but he seems like he's got his head screwed on a little bit. And be interested to see what he says about all this in Parliament tomorrow, because no doubt he'll give Boris a bit of a drilling, question-wise. Filthy people. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that ends this broadcast. Finally. I need something to eat. I've had no tea because we've been trying to sort this out. And, or dinner, if you're posh. And I've had very little to drink, including no alcohol. So I need to sort that out as well. I may well be back later, doing some other stuff, and then trying to figure out how to get it done. As my cat delicately jumps off the windowsill. She's heard that I mentioned the stream, so she's coming now to make sure that I go and feed her. So you take care. Look after yourselves. Thank you, Toff. Thank you, Paranormal Investigation Explorers. Steve. You're the only ones who've chatted. Don't forget, you can always chat in the chat room. Always give you a shout out at the end as well. So look after yourselves, stay safe, and wherever you are, just do what you're doing. Goodbye.